Hey, what's up, you guys? So, today I wanted to ramble about a topic that I thought about many months ago, but I never really got around to it because I wasn't sure what kind of approach I wanted to have with it. But in the end, I decided that to actually take this topic and break it down, it would prove to be a little bit too tedious for me, more than I can handle, because I'm just not a very technical person. So I'm just going to talk about the observations that I have made and some comments that people have said, or made rather, and how I feel about it. So, for starters, when it comes to rapid tech advancements, it seems that in the past century we have come a long way. We have finally made stuff like airplanes actually work. Air transportation is actually pretty safe. It's a very reliable method of transportation. It has connected every single spot in the planet, like every country is pretty much accessible now. And everything at a very quick pace, which, centuries ago, it would take a long time just to be able to cross the pond pretty much. But now it seems like anywhere in the world that you can think of, there is a way for you to get to it in the least convenient, or let's say least inconvenient of ways. Because honestly, it is rare that I hear of people having terrible experiences the farther away they travel. Um, Now, interestingly enough, I have heard a couple of people just mention to me the topic about being visited by beings from other planets and whatnot. And then I said, well, am I denying that we haven't been visited before? No, it's kind of obvious and expected that other what we call extraterrestrials should have visited us already, because if we are able to make it to, like, out of this planet, what's to keep another living being from outside of this planet from coming to visit us? But then it made this conversation particularly messy because, of course, I'm talking about this from the point of view of, let's say that we have the freaking flying cars already. And then you guys know that I say that I'm kind of against that because I don't think that, hey, Garuda, we can handle something as simple as traveling underground. So why would we try to make a vehicle advance onto the next level, which would be to fly? So this person was saying that they absolutely do not want to see stuff like flying cars because we cannot handle the same stuff I said. We cannot handle ground transportation. But they also said something like, you know what? I don't believe that mankind has been the one who has come up with all of this technology. We simply are not capable. We simply are not that intelligent. So I am pretty sure that we have been visited by alien life, and from them is where we took ideas to advance in our technology. And then I said to myself, look, I like to be very positive and whatever, so I hope that the right words are put in my mouth. And then what I ended up telling this person was, I feel like maybe your focus impedes you from seeing the bigger picture. Because when I think about it, I do think that mankind really excels when it comes to creating stuff and having the intellectual capacity to come up with things that simplify our lives, and that they did so independently. And then, like, he's one of those folks who focuses on, like, ancient stuff and prophecy, and to sum it all up, let's just call it religion, because this person spends a lot of time reading the Bible. But it was interesting to me that he would say stuff like, no one can figure out how the stuff in Egypt happened. Something about that theory about humans having been giants, or maybe not that, but there being giants a long time ago. And I'm like, no one is if we find the bones, the fossils, no one is denying that there was such a creature back then who possibly could make all this stuff, be pushed around, these boulders and whatnot, be pushed around and established so that we can have the pyramids and whatnot. But when it comes to the capacity of, say, develop a formula, think mathematically, and then develop stuff, and how in just 100 years we have advanced a lot, I like to give credit to the fact that we are able to share so much information, and that a lot of people have access to education now so easily that the human brain is actually being fed with the proper knowledge and tools to be critical thinkers, to be able to come up with the advancements that we so much enjoy right now, like the computer, televisions, every single device that can be linked now. Like, I was seeing a commercial of Alexa, and then the lady in the commercial was telling Alexa to turn the oven on to like 350 degrees, whatever, for chicken. And then, we're talking about this little machine can tell an oven to turn itself on and then cook the stuff inside of it at a certain temperature. Like, this person was trying to tell me that this technology could not be come up by mankind independently. And I'm like, why can you not believe that mankind can think about that? There is a lot of us in this planet. There are billions of us in this planet. And stuff like airplanes, ships, the internet, telephones, computers, we have been able to connect more broadly, and we are also learning more languages, it seems. Like, folks from other cultures can learn another language, and from that language, the information from the culture that X language was unaware of, they're able to have access to that information, interpret it, and do stuff with it that people from this language haven't thought of doing, because they can only go so far. Then you introduce those ideas to another, let's call it another culture, and then the other culture, because they think a little differently, they can take that idea and expand it even more. I really think that it's all about becoming better at collaborating, and people actually daring to do stuff with their hobbies. Like, a lot of inventions turn out to be accidents, and so many of them have been teenagers. That they get bored, they have free time and whatnot, so they come up with stuff, and then maybe someone else takes the idea, they have better resources, and they advance it. What is so difficult to believe about that? Why is that considered too good to be actually accomplished by mankind on its own without, say, alien intervention? So, honestly, to me, it's not shocking that we have advanced so much, because I understand just how important communication is and how far communication can take, um, especially effective communication, how much it can accomplish. So, my overall opinion is that I feel like we could be even more advanced, but stuff like um, ethics and different opinion, values, all that good stuff may interfere. But at the same time, there's also the folks who their circumstances keep them from focusing on being creative. And what I mean by that is, you ever meet people who are super duper talented, but they are stuck to their jobs that are like 9 to 5, low paying, and you meet them and you're like, oh, you have a lot of skills and talents. You should be doing something else. And it's that one person who has their talents hasn't been discovered yet to be put in the proper position for them to execute what their true expertise lies at. See what I mean? So imagine if everyone who has the capacity of being creative, and whatever their natural talents are, their field that they excel at, imagine if they all had access to it. just how even farther could we be right now? But politics get in the way. Even religion gets in the way. Values get in the way. Stuff like that, I feel, is what disables us from being even more advanced than we currently are. But I am pretty sure that in the past century, what has helped is the fact that we have been able to like come together, come closer in a larger scale. So I think that's why these tech advances that some people are like shocked at, it is a possible thing in present times. But anyways, guys, that's the more simplistic version, the more summed up version. I wish I could get more technical as to why, say, what has made airplanes become more efficient, what has made cars become more efficient. But honestly, that goes beyond my capacity, so I'm not going to really dwell on that or discuss that. But in a more approaching it from a more idealistic way, or yeah, like based on ideas and stuff, that's why I think we have come so far in such a short time. So I will attempt to read your comments, and I see that I am starting to lag already. So I am hoping that I will not crash before I see your comments so I can reply to it. So I will carefully and gently get to the comments. I'm still kryptonites are well, I'm where the Superman is at. Actually, the internet made humans dumb. All people do is go on Pornhub and have sex via social media. So yeah, the human race is dumb to lip selfie face. I'm glad that you mentioned that. I have considered going over that, the negative aspects of having developed a specific internet. But honestly, when I go online and I just have a look at what's happening out there and the stuff that people are coming out with, some people are wasting their time on their internet and using it just for entertainment. And that, you know, means that instead of using that time to be productive, they are becoming dumber because they're not feeding their brain with ideas and knowledge. But honestly, I think that the internet, for those who can use it in a more positive way and focus on the good stuff of it, which is access to endless information, those folks are the ones who are going to come up with the next best thing. Um, so it is a shame that a lot of people, because we tend to live very stressed lives and whatnot, recur to that type of thing. But I feel like they just need to be sort of led into using the internet a little more usefully, or like in a more productive way. A solution for that, I guess, would be to somehow work on focusing. Because honestly, I feel like most people struggle with focusing. So I think it all needs to start at home. A better discipline, not just sit your child by television and allowing for something else to raise your child. And if you are an older person, if you're an adult, then as opposed to just coming home and just being comfortable by turning on the TV or turning on the computer and just wasting your time there, how about if you just tell yourself, I am pretty ignorant on how to fix cars. How about if I look up on that? You know, for me personally, I like to look up home remedies, stuff that I can fix in the house that I don't have to actually call someone up to have them fix for me, and then I have to pay them hundreds of dollars. So, do I always excel at it? No, but at least I'm trying. So, I feel like people need to try to use the internet for better stuff than what is popular. See what I mean? But then again, when I think about it from a psychological perspective, a lot of people report being lonely. So maybe that has something to do with why people use their time so ineffectively, so inefficiently. But anyways, that's it can go in many directions. But that's what I think. That's what I think. Let's see. So you are saying that we are being of personal or insecure judgment? Sort of. Sort of. Let's face it. When it comes to our way of life changes along with the times. And so about the times values also change during the times. So what was valued, let's say 60 years ago, was developing that. I guess that's what everyone was cheering on and everyone was focusing on. But I guess presently the focus is to be socially accepted for what you are, and not to offend anyone, but I don't think that's as important as figuring out ways to, say, preserve our environment, which is definitely suffering. So I don't know. You can interpret it in more than one way. Like I always say, anytime I discuss stuff like this, I don't claim to have the right answer. I don't claim to really know or what causes what, but at least I try to think for myself, and then sometimes you guys teach me stuff. So that's what I like to focus on. Let's see. Please don't crash. I want to catch up with all of this. Religion is not founded by religious people. And yeah, to sum it up, I like to say religion when it's brought up, and like stuff like books and prophecy is mentioned. But I do know that a lot of the folks who are best known in the science field had a religious background. So I'm not trying to say that religion is what impedes us from progressing. I'm just saying that sometimes we like limit ourselves because our beliefs are getting in our way. And you know what? I think that what makes me crash is when I get a lot of comments, which is weird because there was a time when I used to stream for hours and I could get a lot of comments and nothing would. So I think it's a software problem. I don't know. I'm why my phone just doesn't handle streaming as good as it used to, well as it used to. It's a darn shame. Let's see. Where are we at? You have you have all of the knowledge humans in your pocket. Also, the internet is full of lies, percent fake news. Google has been hiding the truth over 15 years. True to that. And see that in this, have access to more useful information, have a lot of information. So these with our source of information is to this legit and what is can be very difficult if you don't have a very strong education of that. I would be on the go, but at least from lies sometimes comes up. It's the public deceived. Like it's complete, but at least on the lies. So if it weren't, wouldn't have looked at something. So when you have something presented to you, that's when it has to evolve into something better. But in the same manner, you go backward. I hope that made sense. I'm not trying to justify, like, you should too. That is absolutely bad. Like, it's nameless. But, but, you know, within every negative, there is a positive. And that's what I like to focus on. I know someone has been, and that inspiration has changed their lives. What I'm trying to say. Um, that is the least true statement ever. Religion has destroyed scientific literature consistently till the 14th centuries. I actually miss Zam Rishi's source YouTube entertainment. I am used to her rambling. Well, I definitely missed streaming. I just had very unfortunate timing. And right now, I am supposed to be once again away, but as I stream this because I have the inspiration. But yeah, I'll get to what I need to do when I get to it. Period. Legends. I have a playlist on fake news. Check it out. Nope, what I said is true. Even Einstein and Tesla was religious. Even though the Catholic Church has catacombs full of historical relics, not viewable by anyone but the archdiocese of the Pope. Okay, I will miss. Einstein was born in the 30s, bro, 19th century. You. That is true. They are protecting it from getting destroyed. This is true. Religious. Still, he was religious. You could post the information without ever moving the artifact. And hope is all. Hello, you strong like an Amazon Zamri. Thanks a lot. You should kind of be a bit too. He was really an agnostic. I'm glad that you mentioned that because I was gonna say, so Einstein officially like religious like that, or was he actually an agnostic? Because for me, the of him the whole time was that he was agnostic. I'm a spam the chat crash. Go ahead, take that. Well, it's your loss if you crash, because that means that I go. Want I learned religion, everything, even true. Religious stuff. Have you read his biography? Do you mean to do atheist? Honestly, now that you're back and forth on that, I think that this. All have said it is possible to 100% legislation in this. That girls cannot straight case, then I'm uni house and interview never had a thing for a. So I think that it is ever possible to be 100% atheist, or do we all linger in that, let's call it the gray area, which is being agnostic? And the reason I threw the example of orientation there is because it's something that just comes up at random. So I'm thinking, because the discussion of being agnostic versus religious versus atheist comes up at random too, then I'm thinking, can you ever be 100% of something? Because um, sometimes even the folks who are atheists, they may behave in a way that would actually honor the stuff that's said by religious people. So I'm like, can you actually be completely against that? Just like I was telling someone, I think it's impossible to be 100% vegan because at some point you will be contaminated with something. To be a true vegan, that means your clothes cannot be from animal product, your anything that you put on your skin could not be from animal product. You yourself are a freaking animal, so how can you even avoid that? It's not just about not eating meat or cheese and whatever. There is like more that comes into play when it comes to that. And sincerely, I think that unless you have a lot of resources on your side, you will not be able to avoid animal stuff. So, I don't know. You guys tell me. You guys tell me. I hope that you see the point that I'm trying to make with that. Amazon, I could see her wearing a jungle outfit with some Warpoint hunting spear. And battle affiliation doesn't change the validity of my statements, but yes, everywhere you are, I apply science. And look at what sick has created in the last 100 years. Agnostic people are the best. They be like, I would share a beer with God one moment, then be like, maybe the Big Bang is real and Jesus was fake news. Honestly, agnostic myself, what happens to me is that, say, I have never really sat down and read the Bible very, 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 like, immersed in an immersed fashion. I have only read bits and pieces of it. And honestly, because some stuff sounded ridiculous to me, it was crazy to wrap my head around it. And if you would like an example of that, is I forget which chapter it was. I may be wrong. Let's say it was Genesis, but it was certainly in the beginning. There is this chapter where it goes, and this person had their children, and their children had 12 children, and their children had 50 children, and their 50 children had, so on and so forth. And I'm like, okay, that goes away from the reality that I'm used to, and that they used for to live for like 200, 300, 500 years. I forget. Honestly, I haven't read it since I was a kid. And it also doesn't help that a lot of it was presented to me in what I felt was a metaphorical way. And I'm like, if this book is telling a real story, why does it not have literal statements? But again, maybe because my mind was different back then, I see it in that manner and I need to sit down with it. And now that I'm older, more experienced, have matured, then I may able to maybe able to understand it better. But for me, it felt like a complicated read because there are also words in there that may not mean what you think they mean, and there are some words that are like reserved to be biblical. So maybe that's what discouraged me from reading it. But what I tell everybody who I encounter, who I have a conversation about this, I say, in the same manner that you cannot prove to me that all of this is real, I cannot prove to you that it's not real. And what I mean by that is that they keep talking about this prophecy and that Jesus is coming and that Jesus is coming, Jesus is coming, he's on his way, Jesus is coming. What does it feel for Jesus to be coming? What does it mean for Jesus to be coming? Because if he's coming and all of this stuff is really going to happen in the same way that you say it's going to happen, then why are we not expressing more concern over this? See what I mean? Like when emergencies are imminent or disaster is imminent, we tend to take action, or at least I would like to think so. But sometimes I feel like um, when this is brought up, it is a way to put a different name to the stuff that we already know. Say anything that has caused, let's say that science is absolutely true as it is presented to us. Let's say that meteors really were the things that caused a major extinction and climate change and all that millions of years ago. So it's like, how would the Bible phrase that? And if it's going to express that, um, why not say it for how it is? Sometimes I feel like it presents stuff written differently, and that's what makes it confusing for me. And when I get confused, I feel frustrated, and that's when I give up. But again, um, a couple years ago, I took the Bible and I read little excerpts again, and I said, you know what, this doesn't seem so intimidating and complicated anymore like it used to as a kid, of course. But some aspects of it, my opinion and feelings hadn't changed much. But but anyways, I like to express it like that. And I guess another thing that makes it difficult for you to really immerse yourself into it is the fact that it's not really a thing that's a part of school. Because I'm thinking, if this thing was real, absolutely real, don't you think it would be part of the curriculum? Like, I know that you cannot force religion upon anybody, but how about if you don't call it a religion? How about if you present it as human history? And when I started thinking of the Bible as something that is a piece of history, it made me feel better, but I'm like, just how true is this ancient history? And then remember that this has been translated and retranslated and rewritten so many times. Just how much of it still holds true and accurate? Oh, the King James Version, this and this and that. And I'm like, to someone who is experiencing the Bible for the first time, they may not know that. They may not know that you have to actively seek a specific version of it. So, as opposed to me spending time reading something that has the potential of deceiving me because I'm unknowingly picking up an inaccurate version, how about if I don't mess with it? So, again, sometimes I would like to be involved in it, but sometimes I just don't dare to. And what makes me remain agnostic is the fact that there is stuff that happens to me that I cannot explain, that I like to just attribute it to a spiritual entity. But at the same time, a lot of the things have an explanation. Everything that happens around us tends to have an explanation. Nothing really just remains a mystery. If we can explore it, if we can feel it and touch it and sense it and all that stuff. So yeah, you guys, that's all that I have to say on that manner. I know I went for a long ramble there, so I will try to carefully catch up with your comments. And if there's anything substantial to add, then I'll make a comment. But I'll try to speed read through this, and then I'll have to leave you. People are those okay. Are you an atheist or agnostic? Haha, I wouldn't share a beer with that genocide. Afterlife depended on it. Vegans best joke ever. I never understood fish, but they claim they flesh. Or like you can have. I think vegetarians say they can have eggs. You can have egg and you can have fish, but you cannot have other things. Like if you just say, "I don't eat meat," or "I eat meat," just simplify it. Simplify. And yesterday on Twitter, I wrote a thing which was someone brought up the fact that tofu is not meant to be a replacement of meat. Just treat it thing. And I said, you know what? Someone said that because all this time I thought of tofu as a meat replacement only because maybe 5 years ago when I heard of it for the first time, I asked what it was, and they said, "Oh, it's fake meat," and I'm like, "What? Okay." And I'm like, "It tastes nothing like meat, but whatever." Just because it has protein doesn't have to be a derivative of meat. See what I mean? Confusing, particularly confusing and frustrating now that I know the truth. um, I wonder who told me that it was. Let's see. I'm an agnostic. There may be a God. You was in jail. So would you share a beer with Lucifer? He's not a real thing. So then do you believe in a deity that's higher than human? That's the legend associated with the evils within humans that sometimes to people. To me is the most fascinating aspect of religions. And that's how I tend to have conversations with my mother the most better than this. Like she is definitely a Bible reader. She is definitely her and yeah. I believe in the massive expanse of the universe. There must be higher ring than our pathetic meat sack. If not, I would be really disappointed because this universe is wasted on us. My religion, most of that Genesis is parable or a metaphor. My religion, Noah's Ark, living to be 100. I'm talking, the talking serpent in the garden. Parable. Let me ask you again. Deity, a creature. Don't. I did. Noah's Ark is simply an example of when to be obedient. When you're obedient to God, the serpent and the garden represents a deceiver, con artist, and to watch out for those. See, in situations like that, of course, when you have exposure to literal, you how to spread that symmetry and all that by this document. Really holding so much information, so much important information, why not call it for what it is? In ancient times, was the deceiver really a snake that spoke to you, or was it a physical human being looking person who tricked someone into doing something bad? What did God look like? What was he like? So, see what I mean? And I know that it is also said in the Bible that Jesus was supposed to have like was it like woolen, her hair? And anyways, basically the depiction of him is nothing like the what the art that we have in modern times represent, because apparently a group of people got their hands on it and they decided to modify it to suit their interest. But see, just say things for how it is. Don't use symbolism. Not everybody can get it. And the thing of it is, when I have a conversation about this with someone, they say, well, the Bible is not for everybody. The spiritual journey is not for everybody. And then I'm like, see, if we were all supposed to be created equal with equal opportunities and equal chances, and we are equally as valued and important, this is not a very fair system to me. Because, say, if you happen to have the misfortune of being born somewhere where you don't have access to information, are you condemned to, like, in the afterlife or whatever, are you condemned to the worst because you did not have access to this material? Like, that doesn't seem a fair way to conduct life. See what I mean? So I would expect that if this is really that big of a deal, we would all know this. Let's say that legally we would all need to know this as a requirement. And of course, there would be consequences if you decide to ignore it. Perceivable consequences, not, oh, when you die, that's when you'll suffer the consequences. See what I mean? So it makes it more difficult for you to want to take this seriously if you see what I mean? If you don't have proof, solid proof of it. But see, that's when I say, that's how I feel right now as of 2018. I'll only know what I ultimately feel like until I sit down with the big book, take my time, dissect it, interpret it, and then take it from there. But for right now, that's how I feel about it. And anytime I have a conversation about this with anyone, it's usually the stuff that comes up. Okay, guys, I'm gonna read up on your comments, and then unfortunately, I have to leave you. But it's very interesting the stuff that you guys are saying. Well, I left the creature out there. Deity exists, then you have basically just come out of the closet and claim atheist, bro. I won't judge you. No. The whole creating man on earth in 7 days again, it's a parable. We see it. If God explained that we evolved from monkeys, nobody would understand that. Simple stories. And yeah, when it comes to, what was it? Believing in a deity. I do believe in something that's just greater than us because, again, sometimes, for me personally, I never feel like I'm lost. It's like I may be physically alone and even disoriented, but I always somehow find my way back. I don't think that's just my instinct as a living being acting. I do feel like there's guidance up there that made it possible for us to have those abilities, but it's hard to put into words. Let's say that we have imprinted into this higher entity. That I do believe in. But I guess I do believe in this stuff spiritually, but I have my own way of looking at it. I don't just look at it as the way everyone else um, expresses it. I feel like if we could all be respected for our individualistic interpretation, the world would be better. But I guess the argument comes up from, no, my interpretation is right and yours is wrong. It's like, if you're as human as me, what makes your interpretation better than mine? See what I mean? In the babies being asked at that time, specific Moses time, determined knowledge of evolution was not discovered. So if God's used evolutionary terms, no one would understand. And the whole having children, this person be that person, simply a demonstration of metaphors emphasizing God wanting us to procreate. So now you're talking about aliens, facepalm, would you be an alien? No, you don't understand the concept of agnostic. There could be, I just don't claim to know him personally and go worship him every week. And the whole Moses versus Pharaoh in Egypt, that too is a parable and a metaphor of something else. Hell yeah, I would bang an alien. Metaphor, one thing, going through some form of hardship in your life, overcoming it, but only through God, which means being right and just, which is demonstrated by Noah. And from Noah, being more specific to Moses, the example, the Ten Commandments and whatnot. As you might remember, I mentioned that I feel much focus on the Ten Commandments, which are universal, nobody disagrees with them, and it was the only thing written in stone by God. Hmm. Or a wheat meat thing and a warrior. What if the alien looked like a creature from Alien movie? Would you still smash? Have you guys ever seen a it's a guy named Magic, Majik. He makes videos about animals, and it's called Let Me Smash, and it says crazy stuff. My favorite one is the one of the, and then there's another one about some bird. It's hilarious. You guys should see it. Just type in Let Me Smash by Magic and have some fun. Like, it, I think what makes it funny to me is the text that's written in the videos and then the um, computerized voice, but I find it entertaining. I hope you guys do too if you decide to check it out. You are a weird thing, blah blah blah. Okay. Some birds can repeat human language. Even some dogs can say human words just saying, oh my god, yes! Parakeets. Session with those. Sometimes I indulge in those types of videos because I find it fascinating. If this being has the intelligence to find its way to Earth, I think I can overlook a little fugly. Imagine the knowledge you could get just for some sex with a crazy alien. Oh, she will never see the alien sex stuff. Investigated the Sumerian literature. Interesting inscriptions of knowledge, unobtainable at the time. I can see Zamri riding on a war horse with her Amazonian war spear, yelling at her battle cry, la 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 la. Planetary rotations and numbers, along with relative size, also their society somehow created language and math, like instantly. It is obtainable, just look harder. Remember, the Bible did not exist in Abraham's life. He listened to it, or what psychologists say, your conscious, which is based on empathy and compassion, and God declared Abraham a prophet. No, they had Pluto in their scroll. We didn't find Pluto until the 70s. The Bible didn't come by until later on. This is also a metaphor in a point that God is trying to make. Listen to your conscience. Doing is much more important than the Bible, no matter where you are in the world, whether you have a Bible or not. Modern day humans are slow. With the naked eye, no matter. All right, guys, it's been quite an interesting discussion, but I will have to leave you now. It was really cool to see you guys having your exchange because I like it when I see two very different points of view just coming together and having a discussion. But yeah, this was interesting. Mars has been visible for a long time. That is creepy. We need massive telescope that have 45, wide lenses. But yeah, you guys, I'll consider coming up with a topic that sort of continues on what you guys were saying because it's pretty interesting. And I would even consider having the Bible in my hand and being like, okay, let me read an excerpt from it and then give my opinion and see how I feel about it. I'll think about it. I'll consider it. I need to have the right mindset to do something like this because it requires a different kind of focus. But yeah, you guys did great, and this was a very interesting topic. I believe it's the true angel here, the deity. Maybe lady, read this. What I meant to say, an angel. She is a goddess. Nervously look around. Well, I appreciate the high regards and your fondness. Though it worries me sometimes that you're giving me too much credit. But, anyways, guys, I'll see you later. Take care. Thanks for watching.